Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Liam Grieger. This is my research project outcome for my EV training. So EV training is a form of training that you can do when you're playing the Pokemon games. This video is to help players understand what EVs are and how they can be effectively used to train Pokemon to create stronger Pokemon that'll work better for you in-game and also PvP or player versus player. Towards the start of this, I'll cover some very basics of Pokemon training, so let's get into it. So throughout your Pokemon game, your Pokemon will grow and get stronger. This happens when you gain experience. Experience is gained upon knocking out or defeating another Pokemon. More experience is required as the Pokemon reaches higher levels. Levels are benchmarks at which certain things will happen. When a Pokemon gains the right amount of experience, it will go up a level. The higher the level, the more experience you're going to need before you level up. There are 6 different stat areas which define a Pokemon. First one is HP. This stands for hit points or health points. This is how much health a Pokemon has. The second value is attack. This relates to how much physical damage your Pokemon can do. The third one is defense. This relates to how resistant the Pokemon is to physical type damage. Special attack is the fourth stat. This relates to how much elemental damage your Pokemon can do. Special defense is the opposite of special attack, as defense is the opposite of attack. This relates to how resistant your Pokemon is to elemental damage. The sixth one is speed. This relates to how quick your Pokemon is, and whether it will strike first in battle or not. When a Pokemon levels up, that is, reaches the next level, its stats will change. These stats generally increase, however there are some occasions when a certain stat area will not increase upon leveling up. How much these stats change upon leveling up are variables which can be controlled to a point, allowing the trainer to develop much stronger Pokemon in desired areas. This is where EVs come into the picture. The term EV is short for effort values. Effort values are in essence sub-stat values. EVs make up stat points. Written in numbers, this simply means 4 EV points equals 1 stat point. EVs fit into one of the 6 stat areas mentioned earlier, and these can be trained for. If you wanted a more defensive Pokemon, you would train for defense EVs. The more defense EVs you gain, the more defense stat will increase. However, there is a cutoff. To disallow a trainer to power game their Pokemon infinitely strong, there are only 255 EVs allowed in one stat category, with a total of 510 EVs per Pokemon. This means you can boost 2 stat areas their full amount. All Pokemon give specific EVs when they are knocked out in battle, apart from situations where experience is not gained, for example PvP battles or in battle towers. So to gain desired EVs and in turn boosted stat areas, all you have to do is defeat enough of the right Pokemon. A list of which Pokemon gives which EVs is included within the project and is sourced from Bulbapedia. In general, however, if you want a more defensive Pokemon, you train against Pokemon who have high defense stats themselves, for example a Geodude. Or for speed EVs, train against Pokemon who are naturally quick, such as Pidgey and most flying types. There are exceptions to this rule, but this is a good thing to keep in mind. Now another good thing to keep in mind when you're EV training is the nature of your Pokemon. Different natures, for example a timid-natured Pokemon, will actually give boosts in speed naturally as the Pokemon grows. So speed will naturally grow quicker than the rest of its stats. It will also have a decreased stat, which will grow slightly slower than the rest of the other stats if you just train it normally. That is, when I say normally, against random Pokemon rather than specifically one type of Pokemon. So now I'm going to show you an example of what EV training Pokemon can look like, and some other useful tips which will help you out. Okay, so step 1 is of course catching your Pokemon with the right nature. I caught this Pikachu, which I was showing you a few examples of before. I caught this Pikachu with a timid nature. This was not first time. I caught a few more Pikachus before this one with different natures, not quite the right ones. But the timid nature boosts in speed, which you can see here when we look at this, its stats without training against anything, that its speed is naturally much higher than the rest of its stats. As you see here, it's 58 compared to anything else, which is fantastic for a Pikachu. Pikachu generally have high speed, but this one, of course, with the timid nature, makes it extra quick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give it the Matcha Brace item, which is definitely an item you want to look up. It's the item which doubles the EVs gained, so that when we're defeating a heap of Zubats at Mount Moon, like we're off to now, Zubats yielding 1 EV in speed, you give it the Matcha Brace, you're going to get 2 every time you KO a Zubat. So that means rather than defeating 255 Zubats, which I can tell you is incredibly frustrating, you only have to KO 128, just to make sure that you got the 255, of course. So that makes it a lot quicker. Definitely an item you want to have when you're EV training. Of course, you can only get that when you're at the very end of the game and beat Giovanni in Viridian City for the 8th gym badge, and then you use your item fighter right where he stands after he's fled from Kanto region. Use item finder where he stood in the gym, and you'll find the Matcha Brace. Fantastic item for this. So yeah, then you want to run from all the Geodudes, Paris, and the odd Clefairy which you might find, because you don't want to pick up those stray HP, defense, and attack EVs which those Pokemon yield. Instead, you just want to KO all the Zubats, as many as you can, or 128. Of course, you can do more if you over EV train one area. Well, of course, the maximum is going to kick in, like I told you before. You'll reach the maximum of 127, and you won't get any more bonus EVs in that stat area. So over EV training, it's not going to hurt, but it'd be a bit of a waste of time. And trust me, after 127 Zubats at real time, you're going to want to stop, and you're going to want to run away from the Zubats. So here's just a brief look into what you've been watching. Is just what I've been doing, my whole research project, basically. Doing this and recording it and writing down my findings. This is the backbone of EV training, essentially, is running back and forth on the spot and defeating the same thing over and over and over again, and making sure you're recording. Now, there are several ways to record your EV training and how many you've done. The easiest way is to just record every single Zubat, write that down somewhere. Okay, I've done 1 Zubat, kill another one, I've done another one, do tallies of 5, do tallies of 10, whatever seems to work for you. A good way to do it is to, provided you're hitting your Zubats, every time you have to go back to the Pokemon Center to reset your moves, you know that you've done 15 Zubats with your Thunderbolt, because you've hit 15 Zubats. And then, for example, if you quick attack, doing enough damage there, then that's another 30 Zubats if you've gone back to the Pokemon Center using all 30 of those moves. Now, you notice I just stay in this front area for my EV training, because there's no real point going any further in and all the Zubats you need in this first area, and it just means when you need to go to the Pokemon Center to heal or reset your PP moves, you can definitely go back and do that quickly and not spend time having to run away from Zubats or Geodudes that you don't want. So that's just the idea behind training near the door or training near a Pokemon Center. And now I'll just give you a very quick run through of where to train for which particular EVs, applying the same method that I just showed you with the speed EV training in Mount Moon, but to different areas against different Pokemon. So you can train for defense EVs in Rock Tunnel, is a good place to do that against Onixes and Geodudes. For special attack, you can train in Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town against Ghastly and Haunter. Special defense, you can surf around Cinnabar Island and train against Tentacle there. For speed, like I already showed you, Mount Moon, train against Zubat there. For HP is a difficult one. You can train against Caterpie in Viridian Forest. Takes a while, but it does work. And for attack EVs, you can train in Mount Moon on the L-shaped floors against Paris, for they give you attack EVs